we give this to our students, and we're like, okay, because we'll have.
And my wife, I just broke down. I said,
hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Who are you? I am your host, Dr. Leah. It is Thursday and it is the Christmas season. As you can see, we need to get ourselves cheered up no matter what is happening around us, no matter the pandemic. We know it is still there. We know it is still real. But still, we have to cheer ourselves up. We don't need to allow anything to take up that joy and that season, that last month that cheers us up to get into the next year. We know definitely whatever will come, we are conquerors because we've survived 2020 and we know how now life goes in reality because we know anything and everything can happen. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Tell us where you're joining us from. Today we are traveling to Canada. I don't know if they have snow already, but us, we already enjoyed the first snow 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? No, it was actually yesterday, the day before yesterday. One of those 2 days, we had it fall down, and it was interesting because I had to drive 3 hours going to work, and it was a test for everybody. This time round, no matter how much you want and you love the speed, we all avoided the high speed lane. We were all just disciplined behind each other and respecting Mother Nature. So, all that said, we will go to Canada. We will hear whether the snow has been falling down there and how the Christmas spirit is taking up there, because our guest today is Janis Isaman. Janis, she is a body couture. We always hear about old couture fashion show. Janis is our body couture, mind, body, spirit couture. So today we are going to learn about ourselves, which is very good. We're going to learn about how to take care of our bodies. We're going to learn about how to, bring ourselves into that space where we can really connect with every part of our body, with every sense of our spirit, and with every sense of our minds, preparing our minds very well into 2021. So this is the season of motivation. This is the season of cheering everybody up. And you are not alone. No matter what happens, we are all on lockdown. And so we have to cheer ourselves up. If you have to dance, just dance. If you have to put a tree, do it. They said actually last week on news that it's important at this season now for us to actually enjoy putting up the Christmas things, because that way we are awakening our inner joy because of us just being locked inside. So I will not take a lot of your time and I will bring up our guest. Hello there. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Great to see you. Great to meet you. How is Canada? Do you have snow?
Well, Canada's a huge country, so some parts of our country might not have snow, but there is snow where I am, and it typically snows here in October. So I mean, it's old news already.
Super. I mean, it's important for us to know if the snow is falling or we don't know. We just want to feel that spirit of the season, and snow is always part of it.
I live near Banff, which is a global tourist destination. It is, if you've never heard of Banff, I definitely recommend that you look it up, BANFF. It is gorgeous. And so we typically have snow on the early end, but it makes it so picturesque because we've got beautiful mountains, we have turquoise and green lakes, and then we have snow on them. So I live in the city that's nearby. We kind of have the Christmas spirit for a lot of the year here.
Awesome. Do you also do all those street decoration, all those, who has the best lights in front of their, on their front yards and all those, We
do. I love your tree. It's beautiful. I have the same color scheme. I do always red and white with a little silver accent, and that is very much my taste. I love it. I actually love decorating for Christmas. I think it's really special.
Yes, yes, me too. And it cheers us up. And especially in this season, it's important for us to cheer ourselves up. Otherwise, I don't think we will be looking forward to 2021. And we
True.
need to be looking forward to 2021 with all due respect.
Absolutely could not agree more.
So, Janice, tell us about yourself. Who is Janis Isaman, and what does Janice do? And where is your journey? Where does your journey begin? Where does it end? Walk us through you.
Well, there's no end yet, hopefully. So we can speak of the beginning and part of the middle, but that's where we are. So
Super.
as you mentioned in the intro, I'm the founder of My Body Couture. And I actually used to work in the fashion industry. So I plucked words and concepts out of the fashion industry, one of which is couture, which, as you referenced, means custom, high-end, really special fitted garments for the body that are made just for the person who wears them. And when I opened my business, I opened a business that was designed specifically to work one-on-one with people. So in the fitness and movement industry, that's not a common business model. Even if we go to the gym and we buy personal training sessions, most of the time we're in that facility with everybody else in the facility. And I opened a space that was designed specifically to not even have room to do that. So I have a couple of 100 square feet. It's just me and the client. So if we think more along the same lines as, in the bodywork world, we would see that in massage therapy or acupuncture, where it is the clinician and the client, and that's the only people in the space. So that's the kind of space that I opened. I do this now as well, obviously over Zoom or through digital means, but I still have a bricks and mortar space where I fulfill that. And the entire goal of my business is to design fitness and nutrition programs specifically for the individual body.
Okay.
So I love working with people with difficult and challenging scenarios. So a lot of those revolve around the concept of body pain. And what that really means, it can be somebody who's overweight. It can be somebody who has some nutritional needs that they need to sort out. But quite often, it's literal physical body pain. So the shoulders hurt, the knees hurt, the hips hurt, things like that. And I design programs to get someone out of this pain and to move them forward so that it doesn't come back. So the average of my client base has been to a massage therapist and a chiropractor and an acupuncturist and a whole roster of other therapists. And while all of these are great disciplines, I use a lot of them myself, actually. What typically happens is the person goes back to their life and they go back to their stress and they go back to their emotions, they go back to their desk job, and the pain comes back. So I really work kind of in that wheelhouse between something like a physiotherapist and a personal trainer, where we're moving to get the body out of that pain, but then we're taking the person past there, and so that they can have sustainable nutrition and fitness for the rest of their life. And then they have the underlying education of why these things happen, so that they don't need to see a chiropractor just to not have pain. If and when they see the chiropractor, that can help move them forward, as opposed to just kind of crisis management.
Wow. That is beautiful. And tell us, Janice, is it something that you aspired from, long when you were young to do, or how did you come to, doing this?
That's a really great question. I would have, if you looked at my high school yearbook, probably been voted as the least likely person in that entire school to do something like this. I literally remember sitting in my high school phys ed teacher's office crying because my phys ed mark was bringing my average down. So it was literally impacting my academic performance because I'm so not athletic. So it's interesting that I end up working in the fitness and health industry. And I think that is actually why I ended up working in the fitness and health industry. So when I finished high school, I went to university, and I had been really non-athletic. So we did a lot of team sports in high school athletics, volleyball, basketball. And to this day, if you throw a ball at me, it's a 50-50 chance whether I'm going to hit it back or it's going to drop on the ground beside me. So I was terrible at those. And in those days, we didn't acknowledge that yoga could be athleticism or that rowing could be athleticism. It was kind of like track and field or team sports. And if you were bad at those, well, there was no hope for you. So during university, I started running. And because I didn't have an athletic background, I kind of went from 0 to 100 and I ended up hurting my knee. And I ended up doing the cycle that I just described that many of my clients do. I went to a sports doctor. I went to a massage therapist. I went to an acupuncturist. I went to a rolfer. Somebody please help me. And what would happen is it would feel better and then I would go running again. And I lived in a city with a lot of hills. So if I knew then what I know now, my glutes didn't function. I was too tight in the quads. My IT bands were too tight, but I didn't know. So I would basically get out of pain, repeat the whole procedure, and kept going. And so the original genesis of why I do what I do is rooted there, where I found an activity finally that I enjoyed doing. And then my body said, no, this is not, we can't do this. And I went for solutions to people that were supposed to have solutions. And they did, but they were always very short-lived in my own body. So that set off a lifelong journey of trying to figure out what the heck was going on in my body. And I think that the messaging that we get from the health and fitness industry is no pain, no gain, make a solution, hit the gym for 45 minutes. And I tried to follow these things. And when I did, I just ended up in trouble. So I ended up discovering Pilates, and that was a huge moment for me. I mean, I remember walking into that studio, and in those days, it was basically just dancers. So people with this extreme range of motion, which I'm not, and just immediately falling in love with it and thinking that I wanted to teach it. Now, that's one of the few things ever that I've had such a lightning bolt moment of, I want to do this. I didn't actually do anything about it. I was actually taking a business degree and I wanted to do marketing for a living. And I ended up doing that. I ended up having a 15-year career in between discovering Pilates and opening my own fitness studio in marketing and fashion media. So I made a little, back in those days, we didn't call it a vision board, but I cut out some pictures from magazines and pasted them into a little booklet, and we'd kind of carry that around. And 10 years later, I was living in Toronto in Canada, and that was the headquarters for the world's largest global Pilates brand. So I decided at that moment that I either needed to take action on this before I moved out of the city, or I needed to just say, hey, like, you're never going to do this, get it off the list. So that was really when I started taking training. And funnily, like, I never thought that I was going to change careers. I had a media career. I loved it. It was phenomenal. And then the further I went with this work, the more I fell in love with it, because the aspect that I love is exactly what I described in the opener, where I really help people solve problems that are otherwise unsolvable. So I had a client who came to me with a childhood cancer who said that she needed a surgery to replace her shoulder joints. And through a combination of the techniques that I used, 2 years later, she told me that the last steroid shot she'd ever had in her arms was the week she came to see me, and the doctor had just cleared her joints as being healthy, and she no longer needed the surgery. And if there was a turning moment in my life, that was it, because I thought, well, I love my job, but this is really something I can do to help people. I would work with happy people. I change people's lives. And so there was a fairly short window between that moment and me actually transferring to full-time work. So I had done this for about 8 years before I actually opened the studio. But that's what I do. I mean, people come to me with these problems that their doctors have told them can't be solvable, or that their massage therapist is like, I don't know, you just keep coming back every week and work it out. And I really just love people that otherwise have no other place to turn.
Awesome. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to get deep more info. We are going to get to know Janis more and more on how she does her therapies, or how she customizes those therapies, and what's the difference between what she already is doing and what is not being done outside there. And so don't go anywhere. Just stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute. Hello, hello, welcome back. This is the show, Who Are You? I am your host, Dr. Leah, and our guest today is Janis, all the way from Canada. Janis has already given us a little bit more about herself, her journey to where she is. Before we even go ahead, I am somebody who is very green on yoga, Pilates, and all that. What is the difference between yoga and Pilates?
That's a good question. Essentially, yoga is mobility at the joints and Pilates is stability at the joints. And I use both of those techniques plus some other ones. So basically, if your joints are too tight, we need yoga. Mm-hmm. If your joints need strength, we need Pilates.
Okay. And if you want to learn to sit with your legs so crossed like this, which one do you need, the Pilates or the yoga?
Probably yoga.
Probably yoga. Oh, okay, yeah. That's interesting. Because, I get so fascinated about how people can really flexibly move their bones in those spaces. And I've never quite understood, you go one place, you hear yoga, you go the other place, you hear Pilates. And I'm like, so what is the difference between these two? Because I can see the movements look the same when they're doing something. Maybe the difference that I only understand is that yoga is like you're meditating and you sit and you close your eyes and maybe to another music or wherever, or you might be having somebody who is guiding you into, doing something, thinking something and stuff. So that is very good to know the difference. So tell us, what is it that you're doing different, and because it's very interesting when you have clients who are coming from all, the best therapies that you'd think, you'd say, okay, chiropractor, or, you've gone to this acupuncture or this and this, but yet still the situation is not changing. So what is it that you're doing, or what techniques are you using that is making it so special that, and I really love that you gave us an example of this, one of your clients who came and, had the shoulders being, rectified. So what is it that you do?
Good question. So one of the greatest techniques that I teach and have for almost 15 years is called Yamuna body rolling. And it really gets to our skeleton so we can pull compression out of the joints and reset the posture. And from there, I add yoga, I add another therapy called critical alignment therapy, I add Pilates, I add some personal training. But most of my clients, I'd say 95% of them, the big hit at the piñata that brings out the candy is Yamuna body rolling. So, and that is, it's a technique that was originally, it's about 40 years old, and it was originally based in yoga. We use a series of balls. I'm actually sitting on one of them, so I'll show you. So it's a ball. And these ones have a special brand on them because they're actually, the plastic density is actually fairly thick. And that helps get through the muscle tension, that helps get through that sticky fascia. And then we get all the way down to the bone and we're doing bone stimulation. And it is quite honestly a miraculous technique. So that is one of my big trade secrets, is using that. And then clients can actually do it themselves at home. So one of the things I always tell my clients is if you wake up at 3 a.m. with your back hurting, unless you're married to a chiropractor, you just have to live with that until you can go see someone. So giving people tools that they can actually utilize at home is a really big deal, because when we do go to massage or chiropractic or acupuncture, we need the therapist. And one of the big pieces of my work is actually helping people develop independence. So I'm always there to teach them, and it is a lifelong process for those who want it to be. But I also really strongly feel like we shouldn't have to rely on another human being to have underlying pain-free life. So most of the things I do are actually kind of turning what we've been told in the fitness industry on its side. So in the fitness industry, we have told people no pain, no gain, just do it, you know, use your willpower, overcome, set goals. And for a lot of my clients, which is actually a vast majority of people, I mean, only about 20% of people actually go to the gym. So a lot of people just really can't make those techniques work. And it doesn't matter what our mindset is or how much willpower we're applying, it's just not working. And part of it is because we spend a lot of time sitting at desks working, and our bodies were just never designed for that. So we need what I call body sustainability, which is to kind of iron out the impact of sitting at desks. And the other kind of magic difference that I incorporate into my work is actually addressing the emotional component. So most of us have a lot of external stress in our life that we're not really processing. So we all do this. The stressful circumstances around us, and then somebody at the office or on a Zoom call says, "Hey, how are you doing?" We say, "Oh, great. Oh, I'm good." And so where does that extra tension go? It goes into our bodies. Yes. And our bodies know that it's there. And so I get a lot of people, and it's part of why I opened a private studio, who once we kind of start peeling off this compression in the body outcome, oh, I hate my job. Oh, I hate my spouse. It's affairs that people are having. People had their partner have affairs on them, companies somebody wants to sell that they hate, jobs they hate, places they don't want to live anymore. That stuff is all ending up in the body. And so we need to have a system for ourselves where we manage that stress and manage all that compression, both from physically sitting and from doing all these things that we're kind of pretending, oh, I'm good.
Yes.
And so a lot of my technique for a lot of my clients doesn't ever really get into what we call fitness. It really stays in that area of, let's get you something so that you can live for the next 45 years without hurting all the time. Exactly. So it's not about fitness, because when we feel good and we don't have pain in our body, we're going to go for walks. We're going to decorate our Christmas tree. We're going to clean our houses. But if we're sitting here and our back hurts and we're overburdened, we can't even get to those tasks, let alone something that looks like fitness.
And you know, I just love the way you say it's not always about that fitness, because you know, many people, and also just how you touched on, you know, we all going through something, and there is always, you know, you meet somebody and you're like, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, everything is fine, I'm doing great. But you know, there is yeah, you know, and I can also count myself in, because, you know, there are times where it was really scratching me, but, you know, you meet somebody, and because you have to put that cheer on your face, you're like, yes, everything is fine, I'm doing well, it's okay. But then it's just crunching inside. And when you don't know where to, and, you know, you go to, people talk about, you know, you want to kill your stress, go to the gym, work it out, sweat it out. And, you know, you do that, you're just getting your body more stressed, more tired, mentally more tired, and you don't know what is happening. I'm doing everything right. I'm trying to put my diet correct, but I'm still so down, so low. I feel like I can just, you know, bust out. And it's so beautiful the way you've put it. And you know, it's interesting to know that, you know, you have taken every aspect of everything to put it together, because, you know, you go to the doctor, I have a headache, they will give you medication for headache, but they will not try to really find out, okay, so why are you having this?
Why do you have the headache in the first place? Yeah,
exactly. You know, and so, and if you keep on going and you have all those funny things with, oh, I have something on my back, why are you having it? There must be something that is triggering it, because everything has got a trigger to that. And it's, you know, I just love how you've programmed and customized your activities, that you're not just telling them, okay, you can do this, you can, you know, stretch your body like this, and but it is everything from mentally to physically to what you eat. So
That's right.
you've just showed us that small ball.
Yes.
And you say that you're sitting on it. You're putting it practically on your chair and sitting on it.
I'm actually sitting on the floor. And so I've got a ball under each of my bum cheeks and I'm just sitting on it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually, right behind me, I have a commercial space. And as we all know, with COVID, I'm not always in it. And so this is my second office. Right behind me, there's a yoga mat. You can see kind of the edge of that with the white, kind of where my hand is. And then I'm sitting just in front of that, but I always sit on the floor. So I do all my meetings on the floor because that way you've actually probably seen me do it already in this podcast, but I shift around. So I kind of move around. Because our bodies were, and I'm not doing it for some sort of really specific, like, oh, it's been 2 minutes, let's shift around. But our bodies weren't just meant to sit in chairs. So if we take our human body back even 100 years, I mean, my grandma is 98 years old, and there's nothing about our lives or my son's life that resembled how she grew up. 100 years ago, if you wanted to text a neighbor, you couldn't do it, right? If you wanted to hang out and socialize with a neighbor, you actually had to put your boots on and walk. And your neighbor was, a kilometer away. So that's what they would do. And now we sit at our desk or on our couch and we text people and we Facebook people. And I do it too. And I love it. It's phenomenal. I mean, we're talking across half a planet right now. It's amazing. But just the physical labor changes in the last 100 years are astounding. In my grandma's youth, you didn't just throw everything in the dishwasher and in the washing machine and then sit there and spend your leisure time on Facebook. In just, we don't need to go back to caveman years. It's 100 years ago, we were more physically active than we are now. And people, almost every person I've ever talked to as a client denies that they're sedentary. But, the reality is we have 24 hours in a day. If we sleep for 8 of those, we're still sitting on, 16 hours when we're not moving. Fitbit data is showing that most of us don't even get 10,000 steps. But if we're generous and we say we are, that takes about an hour and a half. So that leaves 14 and a half hours a day. And so again, maybe we're washing dishes or we're standing doing a task where we're not registering steps, and let's give that another couple of hours. But still, we're clocking in at like 10 to 12 hours, and that's with some generosity thrown in of sitting. And so that is actually, for a lot of us, the real underlying root cause of why our bodies are actually degrading, because we sit in that static position. I mean, I sit on the floor because every 5-10 minutes or less, I just shift positions slightly. So then my hips aren't kind of always in that same position. It's just subtle things that we don't even really think about. And there is no, I know there's ergonomic experts out there. They're great at what they do, but there's no ergonomic expert that's going to fix being in a sedentary position. It's actually in the hospitals here. If you go into a surgical ward, there are posters all over the wall reminding clients to stand up and get out of their beds, because if you're on bed rest, you lose literal years of your life in literal weeks. And yet we're not putting those mornings on office desk chairs.
I already have my contract. I have to live 99 years, so I already have my contract, and I'm not debating it for anything. And I know some people.
No, definitely.
Yes, I am 99. I am competing with the Queen of England. She's already 94, 90 somewhere. So if she could make it, and it has nothing to do with the money or whatever, because I know there is somebody in the deepest, uncivilized world. They will really live longer than even that 99. But my target is 99.
Great.
And I'm trying my best to do everything possible to keep myself going and keep myself active. And, and like you said, in those days, those long time, we didn't have to, sit and, chat on the sofa or wherever. when I remember when I was a kid, that we used to have those rolling telephones, and we didn't have them in every household. So you kind of, if you wanted to make a call or you were supposed to receive a call, there was a central place, maybe around 2 kilometers away. You go there, you sit, you wait at the booth, at the booth place, and you're kind of waiting because somebody will call there, or you have to make the call from there. So it was something that you had to walk, you had to move, you had to do everything. Going to school, you had to walk distance, miles. Going to school, go in the morning, you come back home for lunch, you go back again for the afternoon session, you come in the evening, and you have to do other house chores and do your homework and sleep, and then the next day begins again. And so it's very viable that, when we can learn these simple things to do during our day, so that we can minimize those we lost Janice. I think she'll be back. And like we said, just doing those simple exercises that Janice has been telling us is important for our health, to keep us going, to keep us sane as well, because we need to be sane in our modern days and not just being on electronics and just feeding ourselves on too many things that are really bringing us down. Because you can be doing a lot of exercises day in, day out. You can have all those muscles, you can have all those six packs and everything, but when you're mentally also not aligned to your deeper spirit, when your mind is also not aligned to welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a little internet glitch there.
and you see, that's normal. And that's where many people realize technology is just as good as the human as well.
It's true. It's true. I just got a little error message that said we have to log back in. I was like, great. I think it's hilariously simple stuff. Even when I grew up, I didn't have to walk a couple of kilometers to the phone, but we did have the phone with the curly Q that was attached to the wall, and it was in one central place in the house. And so even that was 10, 15, 20, 100 steps to the phone. And then you were kind of tied to that cord. And now we just have it here. It's not more than arm's reach away from us most of the time. And so we don't think about that, but that's 100 steps or 200 steps or what have you. I remember sitting on the floor talking on the phone because even though my parents got that phone extension when you're a teenager, that's what you do. And so it's just a lot of things that we don't really think about that kind of lead to this inactivity. And then that also leads to that emotional cloud. Remember that Charlie Brown little pig pen guy with the cloud over his head? There's a lot of research, and no one likes research, but there's a lot of research that really ties that emotional well-being and health to physical well-being and health. And we kind of get into that cycle of we don't feel good. We have the cloud over our head that compresses our body. Then we sit there and away we go. And a lot of people just don't know how to get out of it. And I get lots of clients too that tell me that they're active and they're trying all these things that they've been told to try at the gym, and it's just not working, and they feel like something's wrong with them. Nothing's wrong with them. That system is not set up to make most people succeed.
Awesome. So practically you do work with one person at a time.
I do.
Or you could also do a couple if they know each other. Basically.
Yes. So I do three things. I do privates, and then I do semi-private groups. So like you said, it's, I actually right now I have a family where they, the female head of household has worked with me for many years. And then during the pandemic, now her husband works from home. So she has brought him into the session, and now all of the children's activities have been canceled, and one of their sons is an athlete, so she's brought him in. So I'm working with the whole family, which is awesome. So I can do privates like that. I've had privates where people put together kind of a group of friends, and we do it that way. And then because a lot of people do want to access these techniques by themselves, I do actually have streamed group classes. So where I take the body rolling technique, or I take Pilates, or I take I take the yin yoga, and I just deliver those for a certain component of people. So my specialty is privates, but I do offer groups because it's just not financially feasible or accessible for all populations to do privates.
Awesome. Wow, beautiful. So thank you so much, Janis, for sharing with us. It was really beautiful to learn a lot. I have also learned a lot. And, you know, it kind of also motivated me as well to begin to look at so many things differently. I have a friend, she is always checking up on me, telling me you have to go out, you have to take fresh air, you have to walk, you have to do something. And because
she's right.
yes, and I really love her because she's always checking up on me and making sure that, okay, if you just go out, do something. Sometimes I'm like, no, I already did, even when I did not know. She knows probably I lied. Okay, but nevertheless, I'm really grateful that, you know, we've heard from you, you know, the great things that you're doing and how you've incorporated all that, you know. And basically, it's important for a lot of people also to know that, because people just concentrate on sport, fitness,
Yes.
fitness, nutrition, and forget that it's that good, yes, but how is your mental space working?
Totally.
And how
I also think people forget, really and truly, life is a long time. If you're going to live to 99, this is something you have to do for 99 years. This isn't like even work, which we do for 40 years and then we retire. It's not like school, which we do for 12 to 15 years and then stop. This is a lifelong project. And so really understanding who you are and how your body works and how it impacts your mindset and your mental health and all of those emotions and the cycle behind that is literally, without exaggeration, I think the best investment you could ever make, because you know, I have half my life left to live, and so do a lot of people who are watching this.
Exactly.
You know, if you're struggling now, this isn't something that just kind of magically goes away. So really figuring out how to sustain your body, how to make it enjoyable. I never want somebody to do something that they hate. You know, I'm not going to turn into a volleyball player. But if we find something that you think is good or enjoyable or doable, it's sort of like brushing your teeth. You know, it's just something that you put into your routine and you can enjoy some aspect of it, because life is a very long time. We need to sustain this system. Otherwise, quite literally, we die.
Yes. That's so important. And brushing your teeth, guys, it has to be very important. Every day, please, every day.
Yes. I'm not suggesting that because you don't work out that you stop brushing your teeth. I'm saying we have to add this in.
Pulling your leg.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much, Janis. And you said you can also do like a one-on-one online, like the way we are talking, and you know somebody's able to. Wow.
Yes,
awesome.
Because I've been a private teacher for 15 years, I can see what I need to see on Zoom. And I have found actually that some of my clients get even better results than they did in studio, because we can get those different camera angles and we have to get a bit creative. And I have seen people literally from all over the world. You know, I trained somebody from Australia. I'm working with a lot of Americans. The Canadian dollar actually makes it quite favorable to get a trainer from another country. So, you know, your exchange rate makes it literally half the price of.
Yes.
And so I've had people from other countries, and it's just amazing. I love it.
Beautiful. So thank you very much, everybody. Those who have been watching with us, thank you. For those who will be watching after, take those notes. Ensure that you are able to do all these things. How do people get in contact with you, Janis?
My website is My Body Couture. So that's 3 words. It's My Body Couture. And then I see that you're streaming kind of my whole big link farm there. But I'm basically on all the social media platforms. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube, Twitter, etc. And so if you want to follow me, I would suggest doing so on Facebook and Instagram. The best messaging platforms are through my website, which sends me an email, or through Instagram or direct message on Facebook.
Super, super great. So people get in contact with Janis, get your bodies to be coutoured so you can feel good, you can feel fresh. Join me in the contract of 99 years.
Yes.
Don't be left behind.
Yes. Yes, and if we have such a contract, we need a way to be able to execute it.
Exactly. Look young, look 20s forever, and just enjoy your life and get into that discipline of actually, doing a rain check of yourself from mind, body, and soul. It's a combination of everything. It has nothing to do with you having, everything to do with the fitness studio or just a nutrition thing. It has to do with your mind as well, because when your mind is rightly set, the rest of the things will set themselves in position and your body will just walk along with it and it will cooperate with you. So thank you so much, Janis. Until next week we have four ladies from Africa. We'll be talking about motivation, women empowerment. So join the table, join us next week on Thursday here on the show, Who Are You? Same time with your host and our new guests, to hear what you can do, how you can empower your space, and hear what other women are doing, even though they might not be having the 100% resource, but they're doing something so that you can learn to do something. You can learn to grow yourself into the next level. This month is a month of motivation, encouraging, because 2021 is knocking at the door, and there is nothing that is gonna stop us from 2021, because we have mastered 2020 with all its difficulties, with all its obstacles. We have mastered it. So we are entering 2021 to conquer it with everything. That is why we need to prepare ourselves, to prepare our mind, our body, our souls, our activities, get the knowledge, get the tools, begin to understand how to put them into place, so that by the time 2021 is coming, your vision, your mission is aligned and begin to work for you as you work with it. Thank you very much. And until next week, we say goodbye. I'm Dr. Leah and our guest, Janis.